I Don't Get the Bible with Delaney and Dad. And listen, Delaney is nearing perhaps the week she's going to give birth. So she is really pushing it through to get all this out to us. Thanks for doing this, Del.
Oh, thank you. And we haven't had an episode in a couple weeks.
Acid reflux, indigestion, baby is growing too big for the body.
It's true.
All kinds of things.
Hopefully she comes soon, but
Yeah.
it could still be a while. We'll see. Okay, we are in Hebrews chapter 8.
Okay.
And let's go.
All right.
Okay, now of the things which we have spoken, so much of the last chapter was Melchizedek.
Yeah.
This is the sum. We have such a high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of the majesty in the heavens, a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle, which the Lord pitched and not man.
Ooh, big time. Big time. So they had a tabernacle that Moses pitched, made. And Acts talks about how God does not live in temples made with hands. And so he's saying we have a high priest like Melchizedek now who went up and he pitched his own tabernacle in heaven, and he sits at the right hand of God. Now, the thing that Bible readers today don't know is that Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15 that there would come a time when he would not be at the right hand of God, that he would leave that place, and that's the day we live in now. But they still read that and they think he's still there at the right hand making intercession for our sins.
Okay, right. And we, as fulfillment believers, think he's on the throne.
Yeah. Well, I do. That's a personal thing of me, because when it says that he left, he would be at God's right hand until man Jesus, until we have to say, well, where did he go? But Revelation talks about there being one throne and one on it. And I believe that one on it is Christ, fully God.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's my belief, and I don't know if it's true or not.
Okay, the right hand of the throne, according to Christians today, is him interceding on our behalf always. But we're not going, according to futurist eschatology, we are not going to that throne right now. Like, we're going to paradise or prison, right?
Well, no, they do not stand with we go to paradise or prison. They say that Christ took paradise to the kingdom. And so they say that when they die, they'll be present with the Lord in that kingdom. That's what they say. But where it doesn't make sense is that when he returns, that's where it doesn't work, because something different has to happen with that whole setup when he returns.
When he returns for them. Prison and where the paradise people are right now will both go to the white throne judgment.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's where there's an anachronism between their thinking and where it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
And that's what we think happened. But after the white throne judgment, say it one more time, you either go to the lake of fire or the New Jerusalem. Yeah. Like, those are the options.
You receive your resurrected body and go to one or the other. That was all for them in that day. And we don't even...
The lake of that, technically the lake of fire is still a part of today.
We don't know. When it talks about them taking their part in the lake of fire in Revelation, it was for them in that age.
I see. Right.
And it was a temporary thing. I tend to believe the lake of fire is where God is, because he's a consuming fire. And I tend to believe that the lake of fire is still the New Jerusalem and what is in it, him. And that for people who go into it, they have bodies that are capable of abiding in that lake of fire, resurrected bodies. And I think that's where true believers will go.
But when Revelation's talking about the lake of fire as an option of where you go after the judgment back then, Was that a like punitive?
It was the kind of the Catholic sense of purging. Yeah. And that's why the way it describes it in Revelation is that they would take part in the lake of fire, which was made for Satan and his angels. So humans going to it, it wasn't made for them. They would take their part in it. And it's also in the presence of the Lamb, which is why I think that lake of fire is still where he is in the New Jerusalem.
I guess I'm trying to figure out, is the lake of fire discussed as like opposed to the New Jerusalem ever? Like, you get judged at the Great White Throne and you either go here or you go here. Is it like that? Or is it just everyone, you get judged and then you take your part in the lake of fire?
That's what Revelation describes.
That's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't
say
it's like a here or the New Jerusalem, one
it doesn't
or the
say
other.
that. No.
Okay.
And the only ones who go to that lake of fire are those whose names are not written in the Lamb's book of life. The believers
Are
in that
not written
in the Lamb's book of life.
They go to the lake of fire.
Yeah, they go to and take their part in the lake of fire. Yeah.
And if your name is written in it,
then you enter into the presence of God, ostensibly, because I don't think it says, and they go to the presence of God. I don't think it says that.
Okay.
I know. There's a lot.
Yeah. I don't see how the lake of fire is in the presence of God at that time then.
Not at that time.
Oh, you think just it
No,
changed.
at that time it actually was in the presence of the Lord and his angels. It says that. So even then the lake of fire was in their presence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was made for Satan and his angels.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's really complicated.
Yeah, it does get complicated.
Okay. So, right hand of the throne of the majesty of the heavens, a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle.
True.
Which
Tabernacle.
the Lord pitched and not man.
Right. So that automatically takes Mormon temples, because Acts says God does not dwell in temples made with hands. He dwells in a temple that Christ pitched.
Yeah, which is clearly not on this earth.
Right.
It's at the right hand of the throne or wherever. It's up there. It's that I feel like that disproves a lot of any like material idea of the kingdom being here.
Yeah.
For every high priest is ordained to offer gifts and sacrifices.
Talking about human high priests of the Old Testament.
Wherefore it is of necessity that this man have somewhat also to offer.
So
For
Christ,
if he went,
yeah.
oh yeah, for if he were on earth, he should not be a priest, seeing that there are priests that offer gifts according to the law, who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things, as Moses was admonished of God when he was about to make the tabernacle.
So, again, Moses was commanded to make a material tabernacle with specifications, obviously on earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With high priests doing certain things.
Hybrid.
Yeah.
And that's just a picture of the fulfillment in the heavenly realm.
For see, saith he, that thou make all things according to the pattern showed to thee in the mount.
That's what he told Moses.
Oh, that's what he's...
Yeah.
Okay. I need those clarifications because I would not know what that means.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a tough... He talks tough in this chapter.
The citations, it's just not having read the Old Testament much.
Yeah.
But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second.
So if the Old Testament and the law worked, there'd be no reason for Christ to have come. That makes me believe that it's speaking specifically to them then and not to us today. That is what he did it for. It was a better covenant than what they had, but that's fulfilled, and now we live in the glory and blessing of that fulfillment.
For sure. And not like, also it's to the Hebrews.
Yeah.
Like it's,
Yeah. People overlook that entirely.
yeah. Honestly, it's like people literally think that Bible is all these years of like quickly changing events, and then the last 2,000 years have been the same.
Yeah.
Of just the same, waiting. We are still the same people as those 2,000 years ago with relation to the Jews of that time. Like,
All of
it's
it.
so crazy.
I'm so glad you see that, because when you can see that, now that you have some background, you can see how clear it is and how wrong we have been. And yet we're the outliers.
Yeah, we are. It's so deep in like the social, even non-Christians assume it of Christians, that it's just about this eternal logic, whatever. For finding fault with them, he says, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers. In the day when I took them by hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant. And I regarded them not, saith the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my laws into their minds and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. They shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for all shall know me, from least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more."
There it is, man.
My gosh.
Yeah. What do you want?
Yeah. I have trouble though, because I heavily put all of this in the context of him talking to the Jews.
And that's who he is talking to there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but when we're talking about him directly writing on the hearts of individuals, it almost seems like he did that only for the Jews.
And there is a good kind of reasonable basis for you to have that thought, because this was written to Jews. They're citing the Old Testament. He's telling them this is what was given to them after they broke the first covenant with God. Okay, so this is what was given to them, but it was also added to Gentiles, and given to Gentiles as well.
That's what, like, with fulfillment in mind, preterism, fulfillment in mind, it, what was I trying to say? Pregnancy, I lost my, sorry guys.
Baby Steve.
With fulfillment in mind, it makes you have to re-look at what the point of a Christian, what Jesus did for Christians.
Right.
Like, it really makes you think Jesus is just for Jews.
Yeah.
And I have to like reread the Paul stuff to understand what it is that he did for like the Gentiles of that day and then us now.
Yeah. And the stuff that we talk about happening and being specifically to Jews and even Gentiles back then before he came and took them, it's conjecture on our part that it still applies to us. It's all conjecture from a fulfillment perspective.
That Christ's work applies to us.
Yeah, it's all conjecture, because it's obviously contextually first to the Jews under the law, then it was to Gentiles who were invited in. But if he came back and took his bride, and that ended everything in the biblical narrative, the question becomes, well, then how can you even talk about us being involved with God? There's only a few scant references that support my conclusion that we are still in relationship with him. One, he saved the sins of the world. Okay, past, present, and future.
Why is that past, present, and future?
Because he says he saved the sins of the whole cosmos, and it wasn't just of the oikonomia or Gehe area, the whole world. there are passages, I can't cite it now, that talk about it being all sin, past, present, and future. It doesn't say past, present, and future, but it says every sin that Adam brought into the world.
Okay.
Okay. But the main one that I stand on is that Isaiah said his kingdom will have no end. The increase of his kingdom will have no end. That's the one that makes me say, if it's increasing and it has no end, then we are still part of that kingdom going into the finished work of what he's done. It's not really a well-supported idea, but it is, and so then I have people who have embraced fulfillment, and like our good friend Mark, and they're just like, it doesn't matter, everything is done, it's over. But they'll also say, I still believe in God and we have a relationship with him, but they don't have really anything to go by, and that's why there's a whole movement called Israel Only, because they say that book was written only to Israel, and it makes a lot of sense. But when you have passages that says
even the New Testament, Israel Only, is that even the New Testament?
Yeah,
is
it's
Israel
everything Israel only. It is absolutely correct, except for those few things where he says, and then when you read the end of Revelation, where the bride and Christ say, come, drink freely, all who want. Those things lend me to believe, and one final thing, that God doesn't change in terms of his desires. And so we are not lesser human beings than Israel was. Yeah, so you have to believe that we are, and don't matter if it's Israel only. And I won't accept that in terms of what I understand about the scripture. So there's flat out, you're facing what this leads to if you ignore those little simple things I just used to justify
Okay,
it.
wait, but so there's the idea of Israel only, does that mean that like Christ's work, like Christ only saved Israel?
Yeah, they'll say that because he was obedient to the law.
Okay.
And Gentiles were not given the law. So he's Israel only.
So, okay, then there's the idea that it's not just Israel only, but that he's for Gentiles too, but just of that time, it's finished, not for us now.
People will take it
That's
to
probably
that
like
extreme.
Mark.
Yeah.
Mark probably thinks that, where, okay, and then there's Christ did the work for Jews and Gentiles of that time, and I'm trying to distinguish. And the world after he fulfills it.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Like, I guess that's the difference between you and Mark. Like, what, he doesn't think that Christ did any work for him.
He does, but he thinks it was done through the nation of Israel, and the Bible just does not have anything to do with us today.
I see.
Yeah.
Well,
so people ask, why do you keep teaching the Bible, Shawn?
Yeah.
For principles.
Yeah.
That's me saying, if God said not lying is good, I'm going to keep teaching that not lying is good.
Yeah.
And it is definitely from me.
Well, okay. But you and Mark are probably on the same page that Christ's work is finished.
Yeah.
The work is finished.
Right.
It's just that we can keep growing, and you think we can keep growing in that work or something?
I think that maturing in our spirit is part and parcel of God's plan for the world. That's why we have the biblical record of all he did.
Okay. And that's associated with the increase of the kingdom.
Yeah.
Like that's what you would
Never
call
ends.
the increase of the kingdom.
Because as people today and 100 years ago and 2,000 years ago came to faith and then matured in the principles of that we talk about, they enter into the kingdom, because the kind of the rational response is, well, if that's not true, why didn't the material world entirely end when he came and took his bride? Who are we, chopped liver? Does God not have any, and so I have trouble.
Billions of people afterward.
Billions, yeah.
I have trouble with that just because it seems like it's not like God stopped existing.
Right.
And his creation kept existing.
Right. And Adam and Eve, the first parents of the whole world, were not Jews. And there were no Jews until the law came.
That's true.
So the whole world then was under trouble. So
yeah, that actually, that's almost more of a point to me than the increase of the kingdom.
Yeah.
Because, which I was going to ask on the verses we just read, like, he says the first covenant was not faultless. And I always think about, like, the fact that he gave them a law knowing it wasn't going to work, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, and then he didn't even give them that law at the start.
Yeah.
Like, it
Right.
was an evolution of that law.
Yeah.
So
when you say he gave them a law that he knew wouldn't work, why didn't it work?
well, it was like, it's the same, like, thought experiment as, did he know Adam and Eve were going to sin or not? Like,
I think it's a little different. Here's why. Paul says the law was given to be a schoolmaster, to lead the Jews to see their need for a Messiah, because they could not obey that law.
okay, like, so it did work exactly in the
Yeah,
intention.
it
Okay.
worked in the intention, but it didn't work to save them. They
Right.
thought it worked to
Yeah.
save them in their
Okay.
own righteousness.
Is that, like, clear in the Old Testament though, or is that
No.
just Paul?
There's little inklings that come out in the old, because like Micah says, and what does God want? He wants a contrite heart and a humble spirit. That's all he wants, But the law and everything else was a means to get them to kind of start looking to him humbly and doing what he says. So it's a lot of spokes to the whole center thing. What was God doing?
But it wouldn't be understood if it weren't for, like, the apostolic record.
You'd never understand it.
Yeah.
You'd never understand it if you just had the Gospels. You could have all of the Old Testament and the Gospels, and you just never understand what was going on.
You don't think that you could read the Gospels and like Paul, like, associate the two and start to like figure out what the point of Christ was?
I think you could, but there would probably be endless division on your interpretation of it. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Yeah.
But it seems like God called Paul, who was a Jew of Jews who knew the law, to come forward and explain it. Because the Jews were still of the opinion, we're the cat's meow and no one comes in here. And Paul came along and showed them, look at, God can make stones the sons of Abraham. You're not that important.
That's another thing too, is Jews and Muslims also don't have anything in the last 2,000 years.
No.
It's not just Christians. Like, no, like, everything stopped with this lineage of
All of it.
like prophecy and stuff at the destruction of, like, that says so much.
Except Islam came after the destruction, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
The Arabs, they existed. But it was Muhammad who came forward as their prophet, said that I'm receiving visions in a cave from a Gabriel, and he took a wild nation of the other sons of Abraham, and he collected them under the banner of Islam.
Like Joseph Smith.
Like Joseph
more or
Smith.
less. Okay.
And they call the Quran the most correct book on the face of the earth, and the Mormons call the Book of Mormon the most correct book on the face of the earth.
Wow. I didn't really put together that Islam is so related to Mormonism in that way.
It is so tied to the same template that Muhammad came up with. Smith came up with the same template, but he borrowed Christ for it instead of the God of the Old Testament. The law, all of it.
Yeah. And it coming from, like, new prophet, basically.
We did a whole show on it back in the televised days.
Oh, wow.
Mormon and Islam, and I give about 20 comparisons.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I've seen some things on social media where, like, people have made that relationship, but I didn't understand where that came from.
Yeah.
Well, my connection is lost, so I need to go over to the computer. But
Did we not record any of that?
no, it's recording. I see it remotely here.
Oh.
Anyway, that was the end of the in that saith, he saith a new covenant, he hath made the first old.
Yeah.
Now that which decayeth and waxeth old is ready to vanish away.
Yeah. And so he says it right there to Jews. It is waxing. It means it's falling apart and it's going to vanish. We have Christians today who say we should follow the 10 Commandments.
Yeah, that is so insane.
So
That is so insane.
does that wrap up 8? All right.
It does. That's a really good chapter. Okay, I'm going to go
Thanks, guys.
turn it off out here.